Hi everybody, welcome back to my channel. Today's tutorial, and this is part one, there's going to be a part two, but in part one we are going to be working the little chicken Easter egg pattern that I came up with. I say I came up with. How this happened was at an antique store, actually a couple years ago. I found this and I thought, well, that's cute, and I untied it, opened it, and this little guy was inside. And I thought, I want to recreate this. And then what happened is it sat in my room, and I didn't mess with it, So fast forward, I don't know, 2 years, I finally, this year, decided, you know what, I'm going to make that. I want to get that done. I've had it forever. I want to make the tutorial. I'm tying it back up right now. So that is how this little project came about. If I can get this tied close. Okay. That is how this little project came about. So it's super easy, and I walk you step by step through the entire process. So in part one, we are going to make the little chick. I didn't mean to knock that over. And then in part two, we are going to make the egg cover. So a couple of things I want to talk about before we get started, and please, I know it annoys some of you that I talk at the intro of my video. I'm sorry. Somebody, if you want to, you just don't want to listen to anything that I have to say, put a link or, put a timestamp in the comments so people can just skip everything, and then when you mess it up, your fault, not mine. Anyway, sorry, that just strikes a nerve. Anywho, so let's talk about something. I want to go over these little chicks with you guys. So if you see this one and this one, they are worked with, let me grab it, wherever, what did I, oh. They are worked with a 3-weight, I love this yarn from Hobby Lobby. The yellow is Sun Yellow, and the orange is just orange. Okay. I prefer the 3-weight yarn for these little chicks for several reasons. One being it leaves a lot of space inside of the egg, so you can add a piece of candy. You could add, I know when I was growing up, occasionally we'd find an egg or two that had some, coins in it, or a dollar bill or a $5 bill. You could put a little bit of Easter grass inside there, make it super cute. All kinds of things with the 3-weight yarn little chick. And then also it just makes a cuter little fit inside of the egg. And, we're not packing a big old chick inside there. Now, the reason I say that is because these two are the last 2 chicks that I made. This one is actually the first one I made, and he is too big for the little plastic egg inserts. So I had to make a egg cover, which I talk about in part 2. If your if your little chick comes out too big and he doesn't fit inside the egg, I walk you guys through how to make the little egg without the plastic insert. So this is the very first one I made, and I made him, if we could focus please, I made him out of 4-weight yarn, Red Heart Super Saver Bright Yellow and Pumpkin Orange, with a 3.5 millimeter crochet hook. And I can smash him in there, if I take the time to make sure he fits. And then, it's a tight close. And it doesn't, not every time does it stay closed like that. Most of the time it just pops right back open. But anyway, point being, he's just a little big. You can't get anything in there with him. And I thought, man, I want to try again. I want him to be perfect. So what I did then was went down to a 3.25 millimeter crochet hook. And he still just, he fits, it closes, it works. I'll tell you this, my hands hurt really bad by the time I got done with them because I was working those stitches so tight. So I highly recommend use a 3-weight yarn. Use a 3-weight yarn, and then we use a 3.5 millimeter crochet hook. Now, we use that size of hook. However, when we crochet the little chick, I make it a point to not work my stitches tight. Like, I don't want him to be super tight. I want him to be squishy. You know, when we stuff him, he's not too firm, and I can, manipulate him around, because let's say he just does not fit right inside that egg, and he needs to be adjusted. So I keep my stitches nice, even tension, not too tight, not too loose, and he came out a perfect little size. And then we use a 3.25 millimeter just for the little feet, because I wanted the feet to be, a little smaller than the chick is. So it's not 100% necessary. You could do the whole project with a 3.5, the chick anyway. So you can get your hooks, and then let me get my yarn. Here's my yarn. And then let's talk about the little eyes. So if you noticed, this guy has little safety eyes. Well, I do not like that, his little beak. Let me take him out. I did that as a kind of just a practice to see if I liked it. These are the little safety eyes that I used. I'll put a link in the description box. I think they're 4 millimeter. I'm not 100% sure. However, they do not come with safety backs. So what I did was I worked so far down his head, stopped, and put a big old dollop of hot glue around the post on the inside of his head on each eye, and let that cool, and then finish the project. There's quite a bit of a post left after you put it in there, so I just kind of trim the post down with a pair of scissors, and then, work my project. And I tell you in the tutorial where to put the safety eyes if you're choosing to use safety eyes. I totally understand these are for kids, so to just hot glue like little googly eyes, they're gonna pop right off there. So totally your discretion. You do what you want to do for the safety eyes, or for the eyes. You could just do, you could sew buttons on, you could do little French knots before you stuff the head, whatever you want to do. I loved the little googly eyes. But anyway, like I was saying, I will put a link in the description box for these little safety eyes that I got. And then if you want to use the little googly eyes, these are a pack that I got from Walmart. You get my little label. And I specifically wanted the 5 millimeter. So what we use for these little guys are 5 millimeter safety eyes. So those are the little ones. But like I said, I got this little pack from Walmart. So you can get yours there, or you can go on Amazon, wherever. The point being, you need 5 millimeter safety eyes, if that's what you're wanting to use. Let's see, what else? I got my safety. Oh, the little beak. All I did was took a sheet of my felt, orange felt, and I cut out a beak shape, which I hate cutting felt. I cannot do it right. I don't do a good job. Drives me nuts. Anyway, so get you some felt for a beak, and then I used a hot glue gun to hot glue the little eyes on. But like I said, you don't have to do that. You can you could use the safety eyes, just maybe you can find a pair of safety eyes that are small enough that has a back on it. Because like I said, mine didn't come with backs, which I wish I would have known that when I ordered them. Anyway, okay, so then you're going to need a needle to weave in your ends. Get you a pair of scissors. And then I use a little bit of polyfill to stuff my little chick with. Stitch markers, I recommend at least 3 or 3 items to mark your stitches, whichever you choose to use. And then try to make sure I show everything. Oh, I did use a pair of, like, these are my craft tweezers. I don't use these for anything else. I just use them for craft. I use these to mark, keep track of where I want to place my eyes. And I did use, not 100% necessary, if I can find, oh, they're actually holding up my egg. I did use a couple of pins to, you know, make sure I place the eyes and the wings and everything in a nice even space apart. So yeah, that's just for the chick. In part 2, we're going to work the egg, so you're going to need different supplies in part 2. So don't forget to check that one out. I'll have that linked in the description box. Let me just take 2 seconds to make sure I showed everything that I used. Yes, I did. All right, so get all of your guys' supplies together and let's get started. All right, so to get started, you can either use the magic ring here or you can just do this little chain that I'm going to work. And the reason I say that is because the magic ring, let me show you. The magic ring or working this chain that I'm going to show you keeps the top of that head a nice closed hole instead of chaining so many, slip stitching to form a ring and then working into that ring. It's never going to get fully closed. So working it like this is a lot better. All right, my chair is bugging me. Okay, so we're going to start with a chain of 3. 1, 2, 3. And then into that first chain, so the third chain from our hook, we're going to work 8 single crochet into that ring. I'm going to work 1, I said ring, I'm sorry, chain. I'm going to work 1 single crochet and then I'm going to stop and mark that because I don't want to lose that first single crochet. Okay, so there's 1, 2, I'm going to go over my tail, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, and 8. Okay, so I'm going to pull that tail and see how it fully closes that up. Now, you can weave your tail in now if you want. I'm just going to snip mine and then I'll weave in the tail later because it's super long. So I'm just going to trim it down a bit. All right, so that is round 1. So we are going to move on to round 2. In round 2, we are going to work an increase and then a single crochet. So we're going to work an increase for this pattern is 2 singles into 1 stitch. So what I'm going to do is remove that stitch marker and into that very first single crochet, I'm going to work 2 singles and then continue to mark my first single. So I wanted to show you guys, I don't know if you can see this. Right there, you see it? See the top of my stitch marker, all of those little lines? Those are little stress fractures, so I know that my stitch marker is getting ready to break. All right, mark that first single. Okay, so 1 more into there. So that's 2. So there's my increase. So now I'm going to single crochet into the next. Increase into the next. Single into the next. Increase into the next. Single into the next. Increase into the next. And then single into the last single. And we should have 12 single crochets. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12. Good deal. Okay, so that was the end of round 2. Let me mark off where we are. Round 3, we're going to work 1 single crochet all the way around. So I'm going to single into my very first single, stop, mark that with the stitch marker so we don't lose track of our rounds, and then single crochet into each single all the way around. And again, we still should have 12 single crochets. Okay, I want to double check. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12. All right, so for round 4, we're going to work an increase into the very first single. My light just flickered. Into that very first single crochet. 1 and 2. All right, mark that first one. And now we're going to single crochet into the next 3. So 1, 2, 3, and then increase into the next. Single into the next 3. Increase into the next. Single into the last 3. I about said next 3 or next, but then I realized that's our last 3. I thought I split that. All right, so now we should have 15 single crochets. One, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15. Perfect. All right. So I'm actually going to pull up a loop and I'm going to weave in my ends while my end while I still can get to it. I'm trying to find my needles. There we go. All right. So all I'm going to do is continue so I can see when I look at my end, see how it's coming out right there. So I can tell that it's made this circle. So I'm just going to continue it around and then skip a few stitches, come back. Let's see. This is so hard to do on camera. Come this way. Pull that tight. I'm going to take it a little farther. All right, now I'm going to come back, and instead of going right back in where I'm coming out right there, I'm going to skip a few stitches, or a few strands of stitches, I'll say, and come back this way. There we go. Now I'm going to cut it. Flip that back over. Okay, there we go. Now we are ready to move on to round 5. Mark that off. Okay, so round 5, all we're going to work is one single crochet all the way around. So the same as round 3. Take out your stitch marker, single crochet into the first single, Stop and mark that so you don't lose track of your round, and then just work one single crochet around. All right, so I'm going to pause my video and let you guys work this all the way around, and I will be right back. All right, so I worked that all the way around. Now to start round 6, we're going to do the exact same thing. So what I want you guys to do is for round 6 and 7, just work one single crochet around. Remember, mark your first stitch so you don't lose track of your round. This is round 6. So I'm going to work this round, and round 7, we do the exact same thing, just single crochet around, okay? I'm going to work mine off camera, and I will be right back. All right. So I have worked round 6 and 7. So right here, nope. Right here, there's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, and 7. Okay, so let's work round 8. So round 8, we're going to start to decrease our little head to make it smaller for the little neck portion. So what we're going to do is we're going to decrease over the first 2 single crochets. Now, I don't want you just to work a normal single crochet decrease. We're going to work what's called an invisible decrease. And the only difference between the invisible decrease and a normal decrease is just that we're going to be working it in the front loops only. And what that does is it kind of decreases the chances of your decrease leaving holes in your work. Does that make sense? Because us working into the front loops of these stitches leaves that back loop to kind of cover any hole that might, originally form. So a normal decrease, you insert your hook into the first stitch, pull up a loop, insert into that next stitch, pull up a loop. You have 3 loops on your hook, and you yarn over and pull through all 3, okay? But for the invisible, we're going to go through the front loop of the single crochet only, pull up a loop, go into the next front loop only, pull up a loop. There's your 3 loops, yarn over and pull through all 3 loops. So I am going to mark that with my stitch marker so I don't lose track of my row. All right, now we're going to single crochet into the next, and the single is just a normal single. All right, now we're going to decrease again, work the invisible decrease. So front loops only. Decrease. Mark off where we are so I don't lose track. Okay, now we're going to single crochet into the next 2. 1 and 2. Decrease again over the next 2. Front loops only. There and there. Single crochet into the next. Decrease again, front loop only. Single crochet into the next. And now we're going to decrease over the last 2. Front loops only again. 1 and 2. Just like that. I am going to get a different stitch marker. This one's bugging me. Okay, so that is the end of round 8. And we should have, if we did it right, 10 single crochets. Or 10 stitches, let me say that. We have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. Good deal. Okay, so now, mark off my row, we are going to stuff our little head. So all I'm going to do is take a couple little pinches, and remember, like I said in the intro, we do not want, where'd he go? Here he is. We don't want to overstuff him, because we don't want him to look, see how you can't see the stuffing through those stitches? And he's still squishy, he's still pliable. I just squished his mouth open, that he fits inside the egg with no problem. So this is the part I want you guys to be careful on. And it's, I mean, we're not fastening off the head. So if you overstuff it or understuff it, you have plenty of time to change it. It's not a big deal. And if you want to use, if you're choosing to use safety eyes, now is when you insert them. Insert them between rows 4 and 5, and then 1 stitch between, depending. I mean, it's up to you. You may like it with more stitches or, you know, what have you. But you go in between rows 4 and 5. So here's 1, 2, 3, 4, and 5. So you go somewhere in here and then just have 1 stitch in between. But I prefer the Google eyes just because I think they're cuter, and I mean, I realize a kid is probably going to be able to pick them off, so I totally understand if you're choosing not to use the safety eye, or I mean the Google eyes, googly eyes, whatever. It's totally up to you. Anyway, so I'm going to call that good on stuffing my little head. Maybe a tad too much. I don't know. I don't see the polyfill through my stitches, so maybe it's good. All right. So that is round, or I mean, we just finished round 8. So to move on to round 9, all we are going to do for round 9 is work 1 single crochet all the way around. I have to take my wedding ring off. I have been losing weight, and I just about lost it the other day, so I put a Band-Aid on it to make it tighter on my finger, and the Band-Aid like holds the yarn. So if I take my wedding ring off, I can crochet a little better. Okay. Back to it. All right, work 1 single crochet into each stitch all the way around. There's 1. Mark that. 2. I got some of that polyfill. 3. 4. 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, and 10. Okay, let me move. Mark off round 9. Guys, my cats. Okay, round 10. We are going to work an increase into the very first stitch. So into that very first single, work 2 single. Mark your first one so we don't lose track of our round. And then single crochet into the next. And that's what we're going to repeat around. Increase into the next. Single crochet into the next. Increase. Single into the next. Increase. Single into the next, increase into the second to last, single into the next. So we should have 15 single crochets. All right. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14. Uh-oh. I have more. Let me double check that. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16. I do. I have 16 stitches. How about I am not going to work an increase into my very last. Just take that out. If you have 15 working around, that's perfect. I must have missed a stitch somewhere. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15. Okay. I messed up somewhere. That's all right. No big deal. Nobody's going to notice on his little head. All right, let me mark out row 10 or round 10. Round 11, we're going to work 1 single crochet all the way around. All right, into the first one. Mark that. 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15. Okay, so that's round 11. Round 12, we're going to work an increase into the very first stitch, single into the next 2. Increase, single into 2. Increase, single into 2, all the way around, and we should have 20 single crochets when we're done. So I'm going to increase into the first. Mark my first one. Single into the next 2. Increase into the next. Single into the next 2. Increase. Single into the next 2. Increase. Single into the next 2. Increase. And then single into the last 2. Oop, I missed a loop on that one. Didn't mean to do that. There we go. Okay, now we should have 20. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16, 17, 18, 19, and 20. Yay! All right. Now we are going to move on to round 13. And round 13, we increase into the very first. Right there. Mark my first one so I don't lose track of my rounds. And now we're going to single crochet into the next 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. Increase into the next. single into the next 4. 1, 2, 3, 4, increase, 1, 2, 3, 4, increase into the next, and we should single crochet into the last 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. Good deal. All right, so we should have 24 single crochets. Oh, he's so cute. All right, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16, 17, 18, 19, 20, 21, 22, 23, 24. All right. All right, for round 14, 15, and 16, all we're going to work is 1 single crochet around. So I think you guys can handle that. Work your first single, mark with a stitch marker, single crochet around. There's 14. Do that again for 15. Do that again for 16. All right, so 3 rounds of single crochet. I'm going to let you guys work that off camera, and if you need any help whatsoever, in the description box is my email address. Shoot me an email and I will help you out as soon as I can, okay? So I'm going to get mine done off camera, work your 3 rounds of single crochet, 14, 15, and 16, and I will be right back. Okay, so I have worked that. I about said all the way around. I have worked those 3 rounds. So now for round 17, we're going to start decreasing. So I'm going to take out my stitch marker, and you still, at this point, you should have 24 single crochets. All right, so for round 17, we're going to invisible decrease. So again, front loop only, decrease. I'm going to stop and mark that so I don't lose track of my round. And then we're going to single crochet into the next 2. 1, 2. Decrease. Single into the next 2. Decrease. Single into the next 2. All right, I'm going to let you guys finish this round, and I'm going to get mine done off camera, and we should have 18 single crochet at the end of round 17. I'll get mine done, and I will be right back. All right, so I worked that around. Let me double check that I have 18. So I worked a decrease, and then I had 2 single crochets left. So I have 1, 2, 3, get out of there. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16, 17, 18. Perfect. I think somebody outside may have started mowing. I can't tell. I hear something. Anyway, let's move on to round 18. So for round 18, we're going to kind of do the exact same thing we just did. The only difference is we're going to work 5 single crochet instead of 2. So we decrease again over the first 2. Mark that. And now single crochet into the next 5. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, decrease over the next 2. Sorry about that squeaking. That drives me insane. Anyway, 1, 2, 3, 4, and 5. And now we're going to decrease over the next 2, and you should have 2 single crochets left. Decrease. All right, single crochet into the last 2. And now we should have 15 single crochets. 15 stitches, sorry, not just single crochets. All right, we have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15. All right, now at this point is where we are going to call it good on the head. So if you want to stuff it a little bit more or maybe take some of the stuffing out, now is the time. And I'm actually going to add just a touch more, not a whole lot. Well, that's probably too much. I'm going to go right in there. And then I like to use the back of my crochet hook to really get in there. And then I'm going to check it because I don't want to overstuff. I don't want you to be able to see any polyfill through the stitches. I would say I am right at that point. Any more and you'd be able to see too much for my comfort. So I'm going to stop. Now we can add a little bit of stuffing to our body. We're not going to fully stuff our body. We're just going to add a little bit right now, and then we're going to work one more round, and then we will finish it off. And it's the same concept. We don't want to overstuff because we don't want to be able to see our polyfill through our stitches. On the other hand, we want it to be a little squishy so it fits perfect inside the egg. I'm really starting to not be comfortable with how much polyfill is in the head. I'm going to let it go. Okay, so I am going to say that's good for now. If I want to add more, I'll add it after this next round. Okay, let me mark off round 18. All right, so for round 19, we are going to work a decrease and then single into the next. And we're going to repeat that around. Try not to catch any of the polyfill. If you can, just use your other finger and kind of push your polyfill down so you can work around it. We're going to decrease over the first 2. Front loop only still. Decrease. Mark that. Single crochet into the next. Decrease. Single crochet into the next. So I'm just using my finger to squish down that polyfill. Decrease. Single into the next. Decrease. Single into the next. Decrease. Single crochet into the last single. And we should have 10. One, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. Uh-oh. Did I miscount? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. Okay. So now we are only going to work. Well, let me say this. Now is when we're going to finish up with stuffing your body. So if you want to add just a tad bit more stuffing, We're going to do that now, and I'm actually just going to do just a pinch, just about that much. And I just kind of put it into a little ball. And then just poke it in there. Just like that. Oop. Perfect. All right. We are going to work 3 decreases, and that's all we're going to work. So you don't need your stitch marker anymore. We're just going to decrease 3 times. On camera, please. This gets a little on the hard side. One, two. You know what? We're going to stop there. Just 2. Only work 2. And I want you to slip stitch into the very next stitch. Chain 1 and then pull up a longer tail because we are going to close up the hole on the bottom of our little chicken. All right, let me get my needle. And I'm going to weave it in and out of these last few stitches to fully close the bottom hole. So I'm looking to where I came out of. So I came out right there. Go in, out, in. I'm just going to pick somewhere to come out. Okay, pull that tight. Now I'm just going to come straight through the center. And then one more time, just straight through like that. And then I'm going to go right in it and come out somewhere up here. There. Now we have a nice clean close at the bottom. And it's still pliable. It's not too understuffed and not too overstuffed. All right, so now to cut your tail, all I do is pull up on it, pull up on my tail tight, snip it, and then the tail will pop back inside. It's a lot easier to do off camera. Okay, so there is our little chick body. Now, let's do the wings, the little wings. So get your yellow. We're going to stay with the 3.5 hook. And we want plenty of tail so we can sew this on. So I'm going to go, I'd say that's probably 4.5 inches maybe. I don't know. Okay, we're going to start with a chain of 7. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, and 7. We're going to single crochet into the second chain from hook. So not that one, but that one. Single crochet right in there. And then we're going to single into each of the remaining chains. So we should have 6 single crochets. One, 2, 3, 4, 5, and then that wonky one right there is 6. All right. So we chain 1 and turn. And this is row 2. In row 2, we're going to repeat this 4 more times. So for row 2, I want you to skip that very first single crochet. That very first one right there. We're just going to completely skip it and single crochet into the next. And then single crochet into each remaining single. So at the end of round 2, we should have 5. Don't forget that little wonky one down here on the side. Get in there. So now we should have 5. Got our little wonky one right here. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Chain 1 and turn. Repeat that again. Skip that very first single. Just go right over it and go into the next with a single. And then single into the next 1, 2, 3. So now we should have 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. Chain 1 and turn. Do that again. Skip that very first one, single into the next, and then single into the next 2. So now we should have 3. 1, 2, 3. You see them? Chain 1 and turn. Skip that very first one, single and crochet into the next, and then single into the last. So now we should only have 2. Chain 1 and turn. Skip that very first one, single crochet into the next. And now we only have 1. Chain 1, pull up a loop. We're going to use that to help us sew, so make sure it's a longer one. Cut. And there is our little wing. All right, so I want to show you guys something with weaving in this end. We're not going to weave in this one, our beginning one. We're going to bring this tail, this end. Can you see how it, when I pull that tight to close that slip stitch, see how it kind of makes it like an awkward shaped triangle? We're going to take this tail and we're going to weave it down the side. Not weave it, we're going to run it down the side of these chain 1s and singles so that it comes out right here. And what that's going to do is give us this shape like that. So it's a nice pretty end, not that wonky slip stitch at the top. So with the single crochets from row 1 facing you, and your tail, your beginning tail, is on the left side of my little wing, I am going to put the other tail on my needle, and I'm going to start by running it right through the stitches on the side. I'm just going to go right through there first. Okay, pull it like that, and don't pull it too tight or it's going to make it look like that. That's not what we want. We want a nice clean shape, just like that. The top right here is what I'm talking about. Just like that. Now, I'm just going to run it through more strands. Now, I'm making sure that I'm not coming out the back or out the front. I'm going right through these stitches. And if your needle is pretty sharp, you can get right through all of them. And I'm wanting to come out the tip just like this one is. I'm going to come out right on the tip of the chains. And don't pull it too tight or you're going to distort the top shape. Just, can you see it move on the top right there? So I'm going to pull it back just a bit. I pulled it a little too tight, just like that. And there we go. Don't cut it, just take your needle off, and then we're going to use these 2 tails to sew the wing to our little chick. Okay? I'm going to go ahead and show you guys how we make the little foot, and then when I finish the foot, I'm going to stop my camera, pause my video, and then I'm going to make my second wing and my second foot off camera, okay? So get your orange. We're going to make a little foot, or a little claw. I don't know what you call a chicken, a little chick's foot. Is this not the cutest thing? Okay, get your orange, and then now is when we're going to go down a hook size to that 3.25. All right. Let me turn my pattern page. So again, with a long tail for sewing, get a slip knot on your hook, and we're going to chain 9. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. Oh, excuse me. Okay, so we are going to slip stitch into the second chain from our hook. So not that one that's right there, but that one right there. Slip stitch right into there. And then slip stitch into the next 2 chains. Slip stitch there and there. So what that's doing is creating our first little toe section right there. So now we're going to chain 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. Again, slip stitch into that second chain from our hook. Slip stitch into the next 2 chains. Here. And then right there. This one might be a little hard to see, but it's right here. So get in there. My camera's not wanting to focus. And slip stitch. So there's our second little toe. Now we're going to chain 4 one more time. 1, 2, 3, 4. Slip stitch into the second chain from hook. Into the next chain. And then the last one, see it right there? Right here. Slip stitch into that chain. So there's our 3 little toes. And now what we're going to do is we're going to come down to these 5 chains. And what I like to do, just because it makes it easier to see exactly what you're looking for, we're going to count from the bottom up, 5. So we're going to start with our first chain right here. 1, 2, 3, 4, and right there's 5. So now I know exactly where I need to go to slip stitch. Right in here. And now we're just going to slip stitch into the remaining 4. So 1, 2, 3, and then right there is the last one. 4. Chain 1, pull up a longer tail for sewing, and cut. And there is our little chicken foot. Okay, so now just make your second wing and bring that tail down to the tip and make your other foot, and then we will finish up our chicken. I'll say that because I'm not sure. I think what we'll do first is sew the wings on, because we're trying to get a perfect front. So if you look at my chicken, you see how his legs are kind of to the side, and his wings are kind of like, his legs are kind of this way, and his wings are kind of this way, and then it's a little wonky looking, right? So if we start with our wings and get our base to what is, what is center, so right here, so you can see if I follow my center down, you see how the legs are a little off. Which, I mean, I understand it's not that big of a deal, but this is a perfectionist in me. Or, let me rephrase that. The try to be perfectionist in me. Okay, so get your second foot made, get your second wing made, and then come back. I will get mine done off camera, and then we'll do some sewing. All right, I will be right back. Alrighty, so I am back. I've got my feet and my wings made. So now we are going to sew these little bad boys on. So grab one of your wings, and you want to make sure the single crochets from row 1 are what is going to be facing out of our little chicken. Okay, so I am just going to go, let's see, row 1 is facing me. I'm going to start with the left tail. Get that on my hook, or my needle, sorry. I'm going to shape my chicken the way I like it, kind of somewhat like a bowling pin. And what I want to do is I'm going to lay it down, and I don't want to be on that row that's the neck. I'm going to come down a row. And what I'm going to do is I'm just laying it down on my chicken, and then I'm just, because I don't want it to be completely flat on the chicken, right? We want it to have a little bit of a shape to it. So a little bit of like a shape like this is what I'm going for. So like, I don't want it to be on my chicken like this. I want it to be more like that. So I'm just shape your chicken. And then I'm going to lay it down, and I don't want it to be at the neck, right? We're going to come down a row and make sure it has a little bit of that shape. See how it's, you know, kind of has a C shape? What I'm going to do is I'm going to go straight in a stitch, just like that. And I'm going to keep that shape and keep it on that row and come right over and go into the very last stitch, just like that. So when I pull it, it's going to tighten it down. Just like that. Okay, now what I'm going to do is I'm going to come over a stitch, go into the chicken, and then come out, not the same spot where my tail was coming from, but I'm going to go over a touch. Just a little bit. See how I kind of pinch the chicken side a little? Go straight through there, and then give it a little bit of a pull, just like that. And then I'm going to come over a little and come out right there. Just like that. So we still have that shape. And then I'm going to go right back in, and I'm just going to come out anywhere on the back. So I want to come out in between stitches. Don't run your yarn through, let me just show you. Don't run your yarn through a stitch like that. We don't want that. We want to come out at a nice clean hole, just like that. Okay? And don't pull it too tight. You don't want to distort him too much. All right, so now I'm going to take the other tail and all I'm going to do is go right into the corner where this tail is coming from, and I'm going to come out the exact same spot, that hole right there. So if you take this tail and kind of just get it out of the way, I want to come right out that hole. And there you go. Don't pull it too tight. And there is our little wing. Okay, so with these tails, so what, I'm trying to explain this. I'm trying to explain this so you can visually know what's going on inside the chicken, right? So we have our two tails run through the polyfill. How's this? Through the polyfill. One tail is coming like right through there, like that. And then another tail is coming right through there like that, right? So here's our two tails. Pretend these needle tips are tails. So what we're going to do is we're going to tie it and we're going to double knot them. Double knot these two tails. And then snip it and then pop that knot right back inside. So what that's doing is these two tails are going to knot around this ball of polyfill. So whenever a little kid, you know, takes the tail and then pulls on it, that knot isn't going to come back out because of all this polyfill that it's knotted around. Does that make sense? I hope it does. I don't know. I'm trying. Okay, so I am going to take my little duck, or chicken, sorry. This is how I tie a knot. I take my two ends, the right goes over the left, bring the left into the ring or hole, pull it tight. And now my new left, the new right comes over the new left, and do it again. Pull that tight, and now you can see that the knot already popped inside. See how the knot's gone? And then I'm just going to pull the tails a little bit, and when I snip, it's going to pop right back in. Just like that. And if your knot is still poking out, like I can barely see mine right there, what I do is I take the other end of my needle and I go inside of my chicken, and then I just sweep it past that hole, and what it'll do is it'll catch the knot that we made and then just kind of move it out of the way so you can't see it anymore. So I'm just going to go in and then just sweep it by. Like that. You can go somewhere else if you want to. And there you go. The knot is hidden. Okay, so let's do the other wing. This time I am going to get... No, I'm not. Alright, so again, make sure row 1, the single crochets from row 1 are facing us. And for this one, we're going to go on the right side because we want to start on, the front. We're going to start on this side and come that way. Okay? So, I'm going to get the right strand on my needle. Just like that. And again, I'm going to keep that shape. And I'm going to eyeball it to keep it even with this. So I want it to stay about right there. Make sure it's not too high up. So about right there. I'm going to have to pause this for a minute. My cat wants out. Okay, sorry about that. Alright, so about right there. Keeping the shape, not too high up. Maybe a tad bit higher. Okay, so I'm going to go right through and come out at that tip on this side. Right out like that. Don't pull it too tight. We don't want to make him look a little wonky. Okay, so now I'm going to just come over a tad bit. My light flashed again. I'm going to come over just a little. So this is where I came out. So I'm going to come in here. Make sure I'm not, because I don't want to stitch it up like that to the neck. We want to keep it down from the neck a bit. And then I'm gonna come out just a tad bit over. So if you need to pinch them in half a little, pull that. Just like that. Now I'm gonna come over, go in, come out just a little bit. Now I'm going to move his neck, see how he looks. Here's this side. I'm not completely done yet. Here's this side, and there's that side. I don't think it looks good, so I'm going to go right through the middle and then just come out anywhere. And like I said, come out straight on a hole. Don't go through any stitches. Just like that. And then this tail. And it doesn't matter if you're, you did the first wing's tail on this side of the body and this wing's tails on this side of the body. As long as it doesn't, as long as you can't see it, it's not going to hurt anything. Okay, so I'm going to go right in at this corner, go in and come out the exact same hole as the first tail. So I'm going to take the tail and kind of pull it down a little bit so I can see the hole that I need to come right out of. Right there. Perfect. All right. Now we knot. Pull that. Pull that. Snip my tails. It didn't fully pop. Well, yeah, it did. Kinda. Right here's the end. So I'm going to just go in one of these holes and sweep past, catch the knot, and pulls it to the inside. And there's our little chicken wings. It's not perfect, but I love him. He's adorable. So you can decide, do you want, where you want the front and the back to be. I think this is perfect for my front. I like this side better than the other side. I don't know, I like his little wings to come up a bit. Okay, let's do the feet. So here is the center of our chick. I'm just going to come out right like that. So I know one leg is going to go on one side of that hook, and one leg is going to go on the other side of the hook. That's how I keep the center of my chick. So I'm going to take my other needle here. I'm going to follow the center down. So just, I'm eyeballing the center, right? And when I get to the bottom, I'm going to poke my needle straight through the center. So that gives me an idea of where I need to sew my legs on. And we're going to follow the same concept we did with the wings. A little different. Okay, so I'm going to take with my foot like this, and I bumped my camera, I'm sorry. My foot like this. I'm going to go the left tail first. Get that on my needle. So here's the center line, give or take-ish. I'm going to come through the stitches. I'm going to go right to the side, straight through. And I'm going to come out, I'm going to go to the back. Somewhere on the back. And again, we want to go straight in a hole. Don't come out through the stitches. Right through there. Turning back over. Okay, now I'm going to take my other tail. And where I went in, I'm just going to go right next to it. And then again, come out the exact same place. Just like that. And now we're going to do the same thing. Just tie this, double knot your two tails. Get off the needle. Double knot that. Snip. Take my needle, the back of my needle, the other end, and just sweep it past there. And it tucks that knot inside. Ta-da! Okay, repeat for the other little leg. So this one, I'm going to do the right tail first. All right, so I'm going to hold this like this, and I want to come over straight from where the left tail went in. So straight over from here, right there. And I'm going to go to the back. Okay, now I'm going to take my other tail. Get that on there. Now where he came in, I'm just going to go slightly next to it and then come out the exact same hole. Right there. All right. Get all that polyfill adjusted on the inside and make him look nice again. And there we go. Now he looks way straighter than this other one, right? Perfect. All right. Tie these off. Ooh. I thought I pulled that a little too tight. Okay. Now, not that one. Snip these tails. Take my needle. Go in a hole and just sweep it past that knot. And then adjust that. And there we go. Okay, so now let us, I gotta get all my stuff moved. I'm gonna get my hot glue gun out. I'm gonna plug it in and get it heating, and I will be right back. Okay, while my hot glue gun is heating, I'm gonna take my two little needles and we're gonna eyeball where we want our little googly eyes to go. So I'm going to peel these off. And these actually have a little bit of a glue on the back. So I'm gonna put one and then do another one. Just put them on there willy-nilly. Doesn't matter how they are. And then I'm just gonna kind of look at it and see, do I like where I put them or can I move them? Which, these are my craft tweezers. I've had these forever and I use them for all kinds of different things. But anyway, I'm just gonna kind of get an idea of where I like it. I'm gonna come up a little. I'm gonna come up about right there. I like that better. So what I'm gonna do is take my needle and I'm gonna put it right where I want to hot glue my eye on. Ouch. I poked myself. And I'm gonna do the same thing on this side. Right there. Now the reason we're doing this is once our hot glue gets hot, whenever we take the the needle off, all I have to do is just kind of go like that, and I can see where I want to put a little bitty dollop, or take my eye put a little bitty dollop of glue on there, and then stick it right where that needle came out of. So I'm not with a, you know, I don't have my eye with hot glue or my gun trying to figure out where did I have that eye? Where did I like it? I can just go right where that needle is. Okay. That looks kind of cute. Let's see if it's hot enough. Yeah, all right, it's good. So I'm going to take my needle. Let's see. I'm gonna put it on the eye, because I know when I put it on the eye, I know how much to put on there. I don't want to overdo it and then have hot glue squished all over the head of my little chick. Okay? So I'm going to put just a drop. There we go. Just like that. And now, when I take that needle out, go right there. All right. Let me grab my other eye. I know I've like, excuse me. What I'm trying to say is that all of the years that I've done amigurumi or made dolls and things like that, I've learned these little tricks. And this is a very useful trick when you're trying to place safety eyes or stitch a mouth on or anything like that. So again, so that's why whenever I do something and it seems very like intricate, that's why. So just barely a drop. Just like that. And there we go. All right, last thing. We are gonna do the bill beak. Okay, so I am going to take my felt, a little sheet of felt, and I'm just gonna cut a little square. For those of you that know me, and for those of you that don't, one of the crafting things that I cannot stand to do is cut felt. I am not good at cutting felt. It drives me insane. All right, so I just got a little square. All I'm gonna do is fold corner to corner on either corner, whichever one, it doesn't matter. And I'm just gonna go right like that. Fold that. And now I'm gonna take my scissors. Actually, I'm gonna hold. So at the point that we have right here is gonna be the little bill on the chick, okay? So I'm gonna hold it with my tweezers. This is what's not going to get cut. What I'm gonna do now is just trim up these sides on each side to make it a nice, clean beak. And if I need to make it smaller, I can. Just turn it over. So I can tell that's too big. So I'm going to come from my point and I'm just going to trim it up a bit. Just like that. And now turn it over and do the same thing on this side. Alright, now I'm going to hold the piece that doesn't get cut. And then I'm just going to hold it on here. Yeah, that looks too big to me still. Dang it. Okay. Again, I'm just going to come from the point and bring it in a bit. Did I tell you guys how much I hate cutting felt? Okay, let's try that again. I still feel like it's a little too big. Okay, so I'm going to come from the point and just bring it in a tad bit. I don't even think I cut any off. There. Well, okay, that looks better. All right, I'm going to put a little bit of hot glue on the back of this. Again, not that much. And I'm going to eyeball it a little bit before I just attach it on there. So I like about right there. And then just push it on. I do not like that at all. Ugh, I hate felt. This is the one of the few times you guys are going to see how you can pull hot glue off of yarn. And it's okay that it's a little bit of a mess because I'm just going to hide it with the beak that I'm getting ready to put on there. Ugh, I hate felt. Again, I'm going to try this one more time. That is not a good. It's not even a square. I'm just going to do this real quick off camera and trying to do a better job. Actually, I'm just going to try to make it look similar to the first one I did. Okay. All right, I think this is better. Fingers crossed. All right. Just gonna put a little drop. Please look better, please look better, please look better. Much better. Now I can just trim it up a bit. I've got little felt chunks all over the place. There. And if you want your little beak to be closed, you can just put just a drop clean that up later. So that strand that came out, see it on my finger? There. We'll wait till it dries and then just pull it off or cut it. Why is that? That's sticking to everything. There. Okay. There is our little chick. I have a huge mess to clean up. Okay. So I'm just going to put a little dollop in there. Just the tiniest little drop. There. Now it can still open, but it's not like way open. And there we go. All right, there is your chick tutorial. So in the description box is going to be the tutorial for the egg. For the crocheted egg. All right. Thank you guys for watching. Hit that thumbs up if you enjoyed. Subscribe if you haven't so you don't miss what's next. And I will see you guys in the next one. Bye.